So many thanks to my crew that got me up through the Inner Hebrides to Tobermory. Some disappointment because the weather prevented us getting up to Mallaig. But thank you so much to Nick, Mark, Luke and Peter. You were brilliant in every way and we had a fantastic week together. The new crew, having had to alter their arrangements from going to Mallaig, arrived in Tobermory, and we thought the only right thing to do would be to start off with a slap-up dinner at the Western Isles Hotel. This was the most experienced crew to join me, with Nick and Charles, Michael and Jill, and we were undaunted by weather forecasts and set off for the Outer Hebrides, beginning our trip in the stop-off island of Canna, which is midway between Mull and the Outer Hebrides. But the particular reason for going there, as will become apparent, is the famous Café Canna, which we'd booked into for dinner, and there we were treated to the most spectacular food. And so after a relatively calm night, we set off from Canna for the Outer Hebrides. Our plan had been to sail slightly southwest to the bottom of the Outer Hebrides and to the island of Vatersay south of Barra, but the wind was against us, and so we made for South Uist, where the spectacular rawness of Scottish scenery was more than evident. Here we found a surprisingly good marina and some curious road signs, before setting off on a bit of a route march to the South Uist Hotel for dinner. We had a great evening of food, games, fun and whisky, before next morning setting off for Benbecula, from where there is virtually no film because it was pretty bleak. Charles made us a version of his Oosh for Scotland, and we decided to forget Scalpay and go back to Skye.
Fairly well, Benbecula. You didn't really serve us very well.
Yeah, in the distance now.
Here they come!
Hey, look! Oh!
Yes!
Oh, yes! Woo! Yes! Oh, look! Oh, look at them! Oh, that is fantastic!
Are they the common ones or
Yes, yes.
Commoners back.
They're more common today than they were yesterday, that's for sure. Oh, magical. Magical.
There's masses of them.
Oh, no,
Yes, they're way out there as well. And there.
Yeah. Hey, there must be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, look! Oh, I almost jumped into the cockpit. Oh, hello.
A perfect end to 3 days in the Outer Hebrides, but where we were fighting against force 7 near gales and the incoming gale.
Isle of Skye coming into Dunvegan Bay.
By now we'd put in 2 reefs to the mainsail and were flying just a small part of the headsail to get balance, as winds gusting to 37 knots came in.
And then for full effect, we need to see the rain on the window pane.
Dunvegan provided for us Misty's Cafe, which was absolutely ideal and a wonderful welcome. It all looked wonderful when we got back to the boat in Dunvegan Bay, but next morning things took the usual change for the worse, and disaster struck when I overran the mooring buoy and we had to spend an hour cutting ourselves loose thanks to Charles diving down with a bread knife, with him in snorkel and shorts and a hacksaw in the end. Well, this is a bit of an impression as we then set off from Dunvegan to try and head south around the western side of Skye. Big seas, massive winds, and no easy sailing. We made pretty poor headway, to be honest, and therefore had to put in that evening early. It was certainly exhilarating sailing, but we could have done with some sunshine. We put into Loch Harport and a bay called Port Nan Long overnight, which gave us some relief. Here's one of our famous breakfasts. Those spiky islands on the edge there are called MacLeod's Maidens. So we set off the next day with, again, poor weather forecast, but look, the sun came out. And what's so remarkable is what had been every shade of grey you could imagine for the past 3 or 4 days turned into the most beautiful velvety greens. Smiles on faces at last. Beautiful. So this part of Skye is the location where the whisky Talisker is made, behind that waterfall. We also saw water rises, but the wind was so strong, instead of coming down, the water went up in a cloud. There you go, blues in the sea at last. Here I've tried to give you a true impression of how amazingly well El Tiburon cuts through the water and keeps us pretty dry inside. Extraordinary view. So somewhere up there in the white clouds, top of the Coolin Mountains on Skye, and in front of it, island of Surrey, where the sheep come from. So having seen the bottom of Skye, we then shot through between the island of Rum, here on the right with its mountains up near the clouds, and the island of Egg on the left, which we decided we were going to stay that night.
It's quite dramatic, this angle.
To look at these skies, really wonderful late afternoon.
Isolated rock. Now, look at that. In Egg. Recommended to us by an old sea dog when we were in the Cafe in Canna in the sunshine.
A very happy, contented crew indeed. You were absolutely amazing, thank you.
There can't be a more beautiful evening setting and anchorage, can there? Which Nick's about to appear in if I can get round fast enough. Magnificent.
So we weighed weighed anchor and set off again the next morning.
Pretty westerly to me.
We continued to have great winds. You can see still 2 reefs in the mainsail there. And back down to Rum, where we concluded where we began, in the beautiful town of Tobermory. Thank you so much to an excellent crew. Here I was to remain for the next week or so, catching up on sleep and having family time with Sharon's brothers and a few others, and just chilling in this beautiful island.